A spongy, moist, delicious red velvet cake. Let's make it. Into a large mixing bowl, I'll add 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour that has been sifted, 2 cups of granulated sugar, 3 tablespoons of cocoa powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, just a half teaspoon of baking powder, and a quarter teaspoon of salt. Mix these ingredients together until they're well combined and we'll set it aside. Into a smaller mixing bowl, I've added 1.25 cups of buttermilk, and to this I'll add 2 large eggs lightly beaten, 1/3 cup of vegetable oil, 1/3 cup of melted unsalted butter, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Mix these ingredients together until it's well combined. I'll add this into my dry ingredients and mix on a medium speed for 1 minute until the batter is nice and smooth. So at this point we have something of a rich chocolate cake. Now we need to add those key ingredients to make this into a red velvet cake. I'll add 1.5 teaspoon of red gel food coloring and 1.5 teaspoon of white vinegar. I'll mix these two ingredients together just until it's a smooth paste, and I'll add this into the cake batter and mix until the coloring is well incorporated into the cake batter. It is best to use a gel or liquid food coloring, and if necessary you can add 1 or 2 more drops of food coloring until you get that desired red color. I'll divide this cake batter into 2 6-inch pans. I've lined the pans with parchment paper, lightly greased and floured them, and these cakes will bake in a preheated oven at 340 degrees for 50 to 60 minutes until a toothpick inserted comes out clean. I'll let these cool completely to room temperature and then I can add the frosting. To make that sweet cream cheese frosting, I've added 1 cup of room temperature cream cheese to a mixing bowl. I'll also add 3/4 cups of room temperature unsalted butter, and I'll mix this together on a medium speed until it's fluffy and light. What's great about a red velvet cake is that the sweetness of the cream cheese butter frosting is balanced out by the tanginess of the vinegar and buttermilk in the cake batter, and it's going to give you that perfect bite of cake. Once the cream cheese and butter is smooth, I'll now add 1.5 teaspoon of vanilla extract and 1 teaspoon of freshly squeezed lime juice. I've sifted a total of 4 cups of icing sugar, but I'm going to add 2 at a time, and I'm mixing the icing sugar into the cream cheese and butter just to avoid a cloud of icing sugar filling the kitchen. And then I'll mix the frosting on a medium speed for 2 minutes until it's nice and fluffy. I'll cut my red velvet cake into 2 layers, and so this is the perfect amount of frosting. But if you wanted to cut your red velvet cake into 4 layers, I'll add the adjusted frosting recipe to the description above the video. I'll add the remaining icing sugar to the frosting and repeat the process of mixing until we have a frosting that is smooth and fluffy. This cream cheese frosting took just about 10 minutes to prepare, and it tastes so amazing. You can see that it's quite light and airy, and this is going to frost our red velvet cake perfectly. Before decorating the cake, I'll cut any domes off the top, making sure that they are nice and level. You can use these to make cake pops, and the crumbs can be used in place of sprinkles on your red velvet cake. Adding just a dollop of frosting onto your cake board, I'll place the first layer of red velvet cake. Onto the cake, I'll add a generous amount of frosting and spread it to form an even layer of frosting in the middle of the cake. If you're worried about the frosting oozing out on the sides, you can refrigerate the cake at this point for just 10 minutes before you add that top layer. I'll place the top layer on the cake cut side down, and I'll spread the rest of that delicious cream cheese frosting on the top and sides of the cake, and you can decorate your red velvet cake to your own design. You can even add some crumbs into the frosting, and that's going to give you a nice red speckled look on your cake. So here is the finished frosted cake. I had some help from the kids to decorate it with those little hearts. And as much fun as we had decorating this cake, we're gonna have even more fun eating it. As I slice in, I can feel that soft, spongy texture of the red velvet cake layers, and the surface of the frosting has crusted over perfectly. And there we have those superb red layers of a moist and delicate red velvet cake. There is the subtle flavor of chocolate and the tanginess of the vinegar and buttermilk together. The frosting has the perfect balance of cream cheese and butter flavor, and the sweetness is balanced out with the lime juice. You can see that the lime juice also helps the frosting to stay firm and to hold its shape. This is the perfect bite of red velvet cake. Thank you for watching. I do hope you enjoyed today's recipe. Be sure to let me know if you tried this red velvet cake and what you think. For more amazing recipes, you can find me on Facebook and YouTube at Erica's Joyful Oven and also at joyfuloven.com. Until next time, happy baking!